Hey everybody, Derek Christensen here. I'm an estate planning attorney who owns Legion Law, a premier estate planning and probate law firm in Dallas, Texas. Today I wanted to talk about Crummey letters. What are they? How do they help you? And why are they super important? But before I dive into that, I want to let you know how to reach out to me. You can find me in my email, Derek, D-E-R-E-K, at legionlawpllc.com, or you can go to my website, www.legionlawpllc.com. So with that, let's dive right in. Crummey letters sounds kind of weird. Crummey. Where do you get that? The IRS actually can get sued, and it can sue others, as you probably know. And when it sues people, it actually is a legitimate case that goes before federal courts, and the courts use the last names of the parties involved. So in this particular circumstance, somebody with the last name of Crummey was involved in a situation where they were using a trust, they were gifting money to a trust, and they were saying those gifts actually count as gifts, and I shouldn't be taxed on the gifts. Now, that sounds really strange, and I'll explain it all in a little bit more details, because I just made a previous video about an ILIT, but I wanted to dive a little bit more specific on the Crummey letters. So, you have to understand gift taxes to understand gift tax and estate taxes to understand Crummey letters. So Congress will set a rule, and they'll say, all right, we have an exemption amount. The exemption amount means if you're below it, you're fine, don't worry about anything. If you're above it, you owe taxes. So if you're above the exemption amount, that's bad because you don't want to pay taxes most of the time. So in this particular case, I cannot just give everything I own to my children outright. I'm just simply not allowed to do that. So let's say I'm worth $20 million and I have $8 million I need to pay in the estate tax. It's going to be really crappy. I really don't want to do that. So why don't I just, the day before I die, gift everything away? Just sign it all away and give it all away to kids. The government doesn't like that because they want that estate tax money. So if I gift everything away and I say I have $0 when I died, the day before I had 20 million, they're not going to like that. So they created the gift tax to prevent exactly that situation where I'm gifting away everything so I can say I own nothing, even though I do. So the gift tax is pretty much the exact same as the estate tax, where if I'm above it, I'm going to pay a tax, and if not, I'm below it, and I'm fine. So if I gifted away $20 million, I would be above the exemption amount, and I would owe money on giving away $20 million worth of stuff. That's terrible. That's not good. So what you do is instead, and you can watch my ILIT video about this, but you'll create a trust. You'll have that trust own a life insurance policy. That insurance policy is based on you. And when you pass away, that money is going to go inside the trust and it's going to be distributed according to the terms of the trust. By doing that, you'll avoid estate taxes because the trust owns all that money. You don't own that money, that life insurance policy. There you go. But the problem is that you need to be able to pay for those policies, and they're not free and they're not cheap. So how do you have the trust? Where does the trust make the money? You know, it's not like it's its own company with employees trying to make money. So instead, what you're going to do is you're going to gift money. You're going to gift a certain dollar amount to that trust, and that trust is going to use that gift money to pay for the premiums. However, if you're above that exemption amount, which again is $17,000 for an individual and $34,000 for a couple together per person. So if I have 3 kids, I can gift $34,000 to each of them every year without having to talk about it to the IRS, without having to report it, nothing. So I'll take that money and I'll put the 34,000 times 3, I'll take that money and put it inside the trust each year, and that money will pay for the policy. However, you need to make sure that that money is actually a gift rather than just you trying to avoid taxes. So this Crummey letter is actually required by the IRS. There are certain requirements that you have to put in there. You have to put in the name of the person who's in charge, how much money you're gifting to the person, date, what the money is being used for, and you need to specify that if there's a certain time frame that they need, that you notify the beneficiary. So if I have my 3 kids, I'm going to tell in each letter, I'm going to say child A, child B, child C. Guess what? I took $34,000 in your name and I put it inside that trust. And that trust is paying for a life insurance policy. You have 30 to 60 days, depending on the circumstance, to go into that trust and just grab it. You can just take that money out. And this is what the letter says. I mean, in better terms, of course. But the kids then have the option to go inside that trust and say, hey, person who's managing the trust, the trustee, please write me a check for that $34,000. My parents cannot stop me. And the trustee will have to do it. So that's where you talk to your kids. You have a family dinner. You sit them down. You say, hey, well, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Don't do that because this money is really important. Otherwise, we're going to owe a lot in estate taxes. So hopefully the kids listen. Hopefully they don't do that. And if they don't, then you're fine, because that Crummey letter exempts you from the IRS. And the IRS won't say, oh man, you're just trying to avoid taxes. They'll say, no, you actually went through the necessary hoops that we created to make sure it's a gift and you're not avoiding taxes and you don't owe anything, and you're going to get a life insurance policy that's going to pay out and pay for the estate taxes that you have if you do have them in the future. So those are Crummey letters. They have to be worded very specifically. If you fail to do so, the IRS could say, hey, you didn't do that right. In fact, we're going to charge you, you still owe money on trying to avoid things. Or we could say that money is still part of your estate or whatever. So also, it could poison the life insurance policy or the trust, and they could say, no, that trust doesn't count, and that life insurance policy is part of your estate, and you owe money on that money too. So that would be bad. So make sure you do it right, and get an attorney to make sure that they phrase it correctly, that all the right words are done, and that everything's organized and neatly done according to the terms of the IRS, because ILITs, well, just really any irrevocable trusts are red flags to the IRS, and they tend to investigate those much more often than not. So with that, if you have any questions on Crummey letters or ILITs or anything else, feel free to reach out to me. You can find me in my email, Derek, D-E-R-E-K, @legionlawpllc.com, or you can go to my website and go to our Contact Us page, where you can schedule a free consultation over the phone directly on my calendar at www.legionlawpllc.com. So with that, thanks so much and have a great day.